So the Midnight expansion reveals coming up. We all know that big Gamescom day. We're going to get the full, Midnight cinematic release and then all the shit about the expansion. That doesn't mean we can't speculate a little bit before all that happens. What is this? A new zone. Northuron and Blood Elves leaving the Horde? What is this? From the Teller of Truths, Doran? Oh, no, what's going on here? We know that the Blood Elves almost did leave the Horde once before. This was during the Garrosh times and everything else. And remember, the Blood Elves were originally High Elves that were on the Alliance, right? So they were originally Alliance-bound races. And then they eventually flipped over Blood Elves, the whole story. This story goes on and on. They almost flipped when Garrosh was tearing the Horde apart and clapping everyone's cheeks. And now it looks like they could do it again in the Midnight. I don't think so. But let's just see what this is. It's always fun to speculate. Let's see what's going on here with this new zone and the Blood Elves' future on the Horde.
Actual leaks are happening from Midnight, and we just discovered multiple items and some interesting mounts talking about Northuron griffins and parts of Nordon. No, this is not Northrend, this is the OG dwarf zone back from the 90s when Chris Metzen built the Warcraft series. This was a powerful Wildhammer dwarf area with a city called Dun Kitas, located just around Quotalas. It was
I will say I'm pretty dwarfed out at this point. I don't know if we're going to get any more dwarven shit going down. Probably not. I mean, this was the dwarf expansion, right? It's the short people expansion. We even had goblin and gnome lore going down in this expansion. So we'll see if they actually do any more dwarven shit. I don't think they're going to reveal a new dwarven zone after we just done an entire dwarf expansion.
Actually added to the
I'm short, it's okay. I'm not tall either.
Getting enlarged, very likely we're actually getting this new zone. As a dwarf zone with Titan facilities, this would be a perfect bridge from Kazakar to the Titan facilities in Northrend to continue the World Soul saga.
As a bridge, I could actually imagine it as a pre-patch thing. So sure, if they want to do it as like, oh, follow the dwarves to this new zone over here. Okay, oh, Quel'Thalas, hey, what's going on, elves? And then we get into the Midnight expansion. I could actually picture that. Okay. That makes a little bit more sense.
Furthermore, and even more interesting,
it's the bridge zone between this and the next one.
Showing Galeria becoming a ranger general and one of the Blood Elven leaders, which implies big things will be happening with the factions and Quotalas in general. So, what is going on? With Midnight League season, things are heating up, but we are still in the War Within, and 11.2 just came out, and with it, the new season is about to start, and there is no better way to improve your PvP experience than with Overgear and their arena PvP coaching that they offer. If you're like me personally, who just doesn't have the time to...
Is this coaching or carries? What's going on here? Paying for this shit?
Grind like you used to. This is super useful.
Same as a short king. I mean, I'm 5'9", so I mean, I'm just average, I think. You know, not tall, but I'm not, I'm not short. I don't know. What the hell's 5'9" these days? I have no idea.
Dominate 2v2 and 3v3 PvP with pro strategies and gear optimization. Other than this, they can also help you out with PvE as well. So check out Overgear, but use my code DORONS10 to get 10% off right now and start today.
Go get coached, boys.
So right now is essentially league season, and we didn't get any crazy leaks these past few expansions. Like, we didn't get any huge reveal of what is actually happening. It's mainly just been forum posts and a few little items. But this period of a month or two before expansion announcement is usually when we actually get some actual hints. This is when we got the artwork for the Shadowlands. This is when we realized we were going to Kazakar with that Griffin Rider we discovered in Dragonflight. And prior to Dragonflight, we discovered some dragon mounts that strongly foreshadowed the expansion that was to come. As you would guess, this time it is no different. Just 2 days ago, we discovered some features for housing, as well as a big thing for Illyria and Quotalas, but kinda out of nowhere, we discovered a brand new zone no one really mentioned. Like, this is one of the old zones that so many people forgot. This is a zone that was created back in the 90s, the old school, like actual old school era of Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2, and it was always vague. But recent hints make it possible that this will be an actual part of Midnight. I'm not saying it is confirmed as in we leaked the actual features, it shows New Zone Nortron, but we discovered a few really strange hints, which, as I said, really matches up perfectly with the leak season that happens a few months prior to the announcement. So, you may remember back when the saga was announced and we were told that Kualtalas will be different.
Yeah.
We were told about this on BlizzCon and also later interviews, but
It's going to change for sure. The northern part of the Eastern Kingdoms is getting revamped. That's all but confirmed at this point. It actually is confirmed when it comes to Silvermoon and everything. They are working on rebuilding Silvermoon, completely revamping it so we can fly in it and all that stuff. That is confirmed. That is coming for sure. You know, and then you can look further into it. Okay, what does it mean if they revamp that whole side of the world? A bunch of new Blood Elf stuff, new Blood Elf lore. All the elves are coming. That's also confirmed. So they'll all be there in Silvermoon. We also know if you look at Azulaman, obviously, all that stuff's part of that zone. The history of those trolls and the high elves and everything and what that meant. We're probably going to get into some more stuff about the Amani trolls and everything. That makes sense too. This Dwarven zone, the only way I could see it happening is a bridge. Like he said, a pre-patch thing. This is, oh, hey, we did a dwarf expansion. Oh, there's dwarves next to the elves. Let's go check those guys out. Oh, hey, there's the elves. Let's do an elven expansion. That's the only way I see it happening. Otherwise, there's no way we're getting more dwarf shit in Midnight. I highly doubt that.
Will be different than the actual just return to the old zone. It's not going to be Cataclysm where all the zones will be changed by some crazy event like the Shattering, but
right,
it's
the
also
unnamed zone,
not
maybe.
just simply updating the models and keeping everything as it was. Numerous official interviews told us that not only will the entire area of Kualtalas be enlarged, but they plan to introduce new things to create new storylines, so it is much more than just a revamp. Now, since then, if you followed my channel, and I've constantly talked about how despite the fact that the main expansion zones will be Kualtalas, it's very likely other zones will get updated as well. I've specifically talked about how everything above this line of the Northern Eastern Kingdom will be
Yeah, I think he's right about this. I think everything from that line up, you got to remember too, you got a bunch of Scourge shit going on here, a lot of lore things that have changed over the years that have not been updated. So yeah, all this is probably going to change. This is a complete revamp here, and I actually can't wait to see it because in terms of like the geography of this part of the world, I love it. There's so many cool lands here. There's so much nice stuff. All of this like fall, looking stuff that heads into the Blood Elf zone, so nice. And then obviously you got like the Dead Scar and everything and how all that's going to change. It should have healed at some point, right? It's been a long time since the Dead Scar was formed, so we'll see how all of that ends up looking once they've kind of revamped this entire area.
Relevant in Midnight. I said this not because I'm Nostradamus, but because Blizzard has been cooking in this area for the past few expansions and the past 2 years. First with the updates to Gilneas,
right, you got Gilneas too.
Undercity, the Scarlet Crusade, now all this new stuff with the Arctic Highlands that we...
With Undercity, I hope one day they rebuild Lordaeron. I really do. You can make it cross-faction if you want, Blizzard. I don't care. I think Silvermoon's going to be cross-faction. They're rebuilding. I think Silvermoon's going to be the hub city of Midnight. I really do. Silvermoon, cross-faction, all the elves are coming. Sure, it's the hub city. We spent all this time and assets rebuilding it. It makes sense that both factions are going to spend a lot of time there. I also hope they do it for Lordaeron one day. Lordaeron, the greatest human kingdom, in proper Azeroth. I mean, come on. I don't know what's on the other side of Azeroth, what's going to happen with Avalorn and all that shit, but I need Lordaeron rebuilt. And I don't want to live in the sewers of Lordaeron. I want to see it properly rebuilt so I can RP slow walk the same path as Arthas with the rose petals falling and everything else. Can I have that? Can I just get that in the game one day, please? Gnomeregan needs to be built. Leper gnomes are a problem that'll never be solved. I don't think we'll ever get over leper gnomes. We've defeated... at this point, we're going to defeat a Void Lord, but leper gnomes are still going to be a problem. So I don't know if the gnomes will ever get their city back.
Just got in the new patch. They're constantly keeping this area relevant. However, what I really didn't see coming is them introducing a whole brand new zone, a zone called Nordon. If you're not familiar with this old school lore, this might sound like Nordland, but this is actually one of the original zones of the Eastern Kingdoms, as remember, back in the day of Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2, they were all based on this continent. The game was much more simple back in the day, really the humans and elves defending against the evil invaders. And in these original concepts, there existed a zone called Nordon. We actually have an early sketch, I believe this is from something crazy like 1995, of the actual map of the Eastern Kingdoms. Interesting enough, if you observe this map, it's actually not that different from where we are today. I mean, sure, some things were kind of shuffled around a little bit.
What is that? Kultiris? Oh, it's more inland here than it is in the current game. Tomb of Sargeras. Damn. So we got like the Broken Shore and everything, the Great Sea Balor Crest. This is so cool. Looking at this stuff. Dalaran. Man, remember when I said about Dalaran, I wish they would land the actual city of Dalaran back in the ground and then expand it properly like the way it was in original lore? I don't know if that'll ever happen now. Dalaran's been turned to sand. Gilneas, Hillsbrad. Look at all this stuff. Yeah, a lot of it's still the same. A lot of it never changed from where these original drawings. That's crazy.
But overall, it is still sort of all there. Quel'Thalas to the north, Chasmo down below, Lordaeron in between. Now, on this map, as you can see, right below Quel'Thalas and above Lordaeron, there existed a dwarven zone called Nortron with a city called Dunkitas. It also kind of sounds similar like Lordaeron, and the north of Lordaeron is Nortron. It was said that the Wildhammer clan settled in this region, and the region was actually attacked by the old horde back in the day. These dwarves of Nortron offered their Griffin riders to the Alliance during the war. Now, before you say this is actually a zone in the Twilight Highlands, let me just say that this has been a super vague concept since forever. If you remember the cancelled Troll game called Lord of the Clans, Troll actually interacted with the dwarves that lived in Nortron Pass, which was actually right near Tyr's Hand, which is the Plagueland. So right around Quel'Thalas, very close to it. Now, in Cataclysm, Blizzard sort of have added this to the Nortron part, to the north part of the Twilight Highlands, but it was never fully implemented into the game. It's just kind of considered to be there. They never really went with the entire implementation or the lore behind it, and this lore is honestly a little bit vague, maybe a little half retcon, because why even is the zone called the Twilight Highlands, as technically these were dwarf lands in the past, but they named it this way because of the presence of the Twilight Hammer clan, which is quite recent. So honestly, I think they may retcon this part, and they may actually move this area Nortron. Before you think I'm reaching, let me lay out the actual evidence we got and some plausible scenarios. So the evidence itself about this coming to the game comes from two different sources, all just added like a month or two back. So a few weeks back...
Oh yeah, the player housing stuff. Is he going to talk about the pre-order things and that?
Discovered in the housing profession overview that there is an item called the Ironwood lumber. Nordon was previously described as land known for ironwood trees, torrential storms, and jagged ice cliffs, which is a really weird coincidence.
I wonder, do we have ironwood anywhere else in the game? I wouldn't know. Like, I don't do a lot of profession stuff, but interesting that's a good point, I guess, if there's only ironwood in that Nortron zone.
But you might think,
or it's just an homage callback to it.
Name for a lumber item could just be some old reference. However, surprisingly, right around the same time, we got a new mount of the trading post called the Adorned Nortron Griffin, and it said this: the Elder Griffin Riders and High Shamans of the Nortron Wildhammer often adorn their griffins in ornate feather-clad pieces, indicating their rank and status. Now, you combine this
Hold on, is Doran cooking right now? This is actually becoming kind of interesting. And the whole time I was like, I don't know, there's actual hints in the game. Nortron is mentioned in the game on a trading post item, which we've seen trading post items hint at things before. Whoa. What the heck?
Rank and status. Now, when you combine this
Doran's about to
with
convince
this,
me.
You think it is a bit too much of a coincidence, like what's up with this Nortron, why the Griffin and the lumber, and then we start kind of connecting the dots. So, first of all, Chris Metzen is the main brain behind the saga, and especially Midnight and the Last Titan, so the second and the third part of the saga, and he is actually one of the OG guys from Blizzard. In fact, it is likely that he participated in this or invented this Nortron thing, and he probably drew the map himself back in the 90s.
He probably did.
Second is that the Dwarven zone would actually perfectly tie in with the saga itself, because as you may know, the dwarves were earthen. Dwarves usually chill around Titan facilities, and them adding a Titan facility in Midnight and around Quel'Thalas would perfectly tie into the storyline. Second is that we actually have that zone in Quel'Thalas that is on the map, but can be accessed right near Ghostlands, and realistically this is around where Nortron would actually be. Now, I know on the map it is much too small to fit in a whole Dwarven storyline and everything, and all these cities.
I mean, maybe you don't need a whole Dwarven storyline, though. It could just be a bridge, right, between the dwarves and what's going on with the elves. I think we've gotten enough Dwarven storylines. We don't need any more at this point. The next time we deal with dwarves might be in the Last Titan. We go to Northrend, you get some Titan-esque stuff going on because, the Earthen and their relationship to the Titans, and then you got those other dwarves up there that are still Titan-esque creations. Maybe. Then we get a little bit more dwarf stuff. But I don't think you need a bunch of dwarf lore right now if they do this zone. Thoughts on the cinematic leaks on Reddit? I haven't seen them. And I don't know if I want to see them. I don't know. I didn't even know they existed. But that's interesting. I remember they leaked. Remember the cinematic screenshot that we got from Shadowlands before it dropped, where we had the Lich King. We saw a cinematic screenshot of Bolvar as the Lich King. That was kind of cool. But we've also seen plenty of leaks now that are AI generated, so I don't even know it's real anymore. Like, we had a bunch of leaks before the War Within dropped. There was, like, screenshots of shit and all, and it turned out to all be AI, AI gunk, because none of it was real. Yeah, that was hype. Yeah, the Lich King thing was hype. Unfortunately, it was Shadowlands that was revealed, and, yeah, well, you guys all know how that went.
What I previously said, the entire area is actually...
Yeah, I might avoid them, Cyrus. I don't know.
The map is definitely going to be changed.
I don't know if I want to see those.
Almost certainly, when Midnight gets announced, the map of the Eastern Kingdoms will not look like it currently does in the game. And when I said enlarged, that means making some changes to the current structure. I gotta say, it would definitely be a little bit weird to put a whole new Dwarven city that no one previously noticed, especially with the Scourge and everything. But I think they could somehow tie this up, like they hid it beyond some whale or something when the recent chaos began after the Second War. It also lines up perfectly with what Chris Metzen has been talking about, going back to old Warcraft. And literally, what is old Warcraft? Like, is there anything older than this zone back from the 90s? Like, this is pre-old school Warcraft.
He's right.
Furthermore, it would actually be a good point to tie in with Khazagard, as the entire story in the War Within.
That's the one thing that I see, like, kind of happening is, okay, if you want to tie Khazalgar and all this stuff to the new elf stuff, okay, this makes sense as like a bridge. I could see that. The leaks look legit. I don't know, man. I don't know what this shit's gonna be. I don't know if I want to look at it at all. Well, anyways, the dwarf stuff and everything else that we're getting into here. Look, there are hints. There are hints. I'm actually surprised. Dorn did. He gave us some evidence that this could actually be a thing. Is it a thing? I don't know. What we do know is going to be a thing is the complete revamp of Silvermoon, which I'm very excited for. He keeps showing little screenshots of Suramar, and that shows Blizzard's ability to create a vibrant city these days. So I'm actually very excited. If they take what they did with Suramar and apply it to Silvermoon, I think we're about to have a badass hub city, no doubt.
To tie in with Khazagard, as the entire story in the War Within is ending in a bit, but nothing really happened, and somehow the Titan machinery.
You hated Suramar? Oh, you're crazy.
Expanded upon, so this Nordon zone could be the bridge.
Hey Cyrus, thank you for the follow, man. Welcome to our Scourge.
Khazagard and the big Titan facilities
Suramar
will almost
awesome.
certainly discover in Northrend in the final expansion, the last Titan. So it's very likely that this will in fact be somewhere on the map, and I think the main focus will be on the Titan facilities, not the dwarves themselves. Now, a bit unrelated to this, but together, like with these leaks, we actually discovered some descriptions of the various versions of the Midnight, like that you can buy, and from one of these, we discovered a portrait showing that Illyria is becoming a Ranger General of Quel'Thalas. I'll probably talk about this in a different video, but this will be a big deal, as a Void Elf is essentially becoming the main commander of Quel'Thalas, and even more importantly, she's probably joining the Horde or something, because something is going to happen with the Blood Elves, because as you may know, Blood Elves are still a part of the Horde, and Illyria is a part of the Alliance. On the other hand, it is possible that the Blood Elves or Elves as a faction may leave the Horde and join the Alliance. You may remember the interview when we were told that the factions will be at war later down the line in the saga, with something happening in the War Within. This is an official interview from around the start of the War Within.
If Blizzard ever had the Blood Elves leave the Horde, which I don't think they will, but if they did, it wouldn't be like, oh, you log in one day and now your Blood Elf is an Alliance player instead of a Horde player. No, I don't think they would do that. It would just be like oh, hey, the Alliance can now create Blood Elves. Great. I mean, they already can. The Void Elves can literally be customized to look like a Blood Elf besides the green eyes at this point. So, I mean, you get green-eyed elves. Ooh, all right, how exciting. I really doubt they would do that. I just don't see it happening. We already have the silhouette of a Blood Elf is now in the Alliance, so there's no reason for them to do it. I just don't think it would happen.
The Blood Elves have actually...
And story-wise, I just don't think it makes sense. Does she go down as one of the hottest cinematic chicks? And WoW, I would say. As far as World of Warcraft goes, Blood Elf chick from Burning Crusade, hottest. Yeah, they don't make outfits like this anymore.
Been showing some doubt in the Horde overall, and something is definitely bound to happen. Who really knows? I don't think the factions will unite, but we know an Elven Union is happening, so
maybe High Elves. Yeah, I could picture that.
Maybe they're no longer a part of any faction, but they're becoming neutral and can be played by both sides. So kind of something like the Pandaren, or it could mean that they just joined the Alliance, or that Illyria is joining the Horde. Overall, though, big things are coming at midnight, and we'll find out what exactly it is in just about 10 days from this video. Thanks for watching. Check out why the WoW community is not too thrilled with the story of the War Within, and also check out my video on the Roman Empire that I've recorded live on site in Malta by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Nice video from Dorn. Yeah, that was a fun one. He brought some evidence. Look, he brought some evidence. Could that zone become relevant as a bridge into Midnight? I could see it happening. I don't think that's that far-fetched. Could we go deeper into Horde, Blood Elves? I don't think so. If they bring Blood Elf-esque races to the Alliance again, it would be High Elves, I hope. And I hope it would be like tatted up High Elves. You know, like Illyria before she became like goth, emo, void Illyria. All tatted up, kind of muscular. I think that kind of silhouette of an elf on the Alliance would be kind of badass. But we also have a lot of elves already, so is it necessary? Not really. Not really. Overall, fun video, a nice video from Doran. Always fun to speculate.